Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Dr. Jonathan Pettigrew. I'm an associate professor in the Hugh Downs School of Human Communication at ASU. I'm excited to introduce to you today a colleague who has a vision to see life's ultimate questions answered. And he does that not just from the perspective of one discipline or even some multidisciplinary unit in the academy. Instead, please meet Dr. Justin Barrett. He has degrees in cognitive and developmental psychology. He studied at Calvin College and at Cornell University. He's worked at Oxford University and at Fuller Theological Seminary. He brings together an excitement to understand life and to explore it from theological and scientific perspectives. He's been described as an academic entrepreneur, and no wonder, because he's not started just one or two centers, but 5 different centers of inquiry at institutions of higher education. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Justin Barrett.
Maybe you're like me and grew up loving the natural world. I loved learning about plants and animals, mountains, rivers, and thunderstorms. I was drawn to chemistry sets, microscopes, and telescopes. When science fairs rolled around, I was sure to enter. I wanted to be a scientist. Maybe you're like me and grew up in a Christian home. The home of my childhood saw reading and discussing the Bible, singing praise songs, praying, and people trying to live into the gospel. I wanted to follow Jesus. Maybe you're like me and you subtly received the message that doing science was not the best calling for a Christ follower. If you were really serious about following Jesus, you'd be a professional minister, not a scientist. If not a pastor, maybe a missionary. There were a few areas of science that were a bit suspect, but as a whole, it was fine. But in the hierarchy of Christian professions, the sciences ranked pretty low. But I learned some things. As an undergraduate at Calvin College, I learned that there was this whole area of science, psychological and cognitive science, that I didn't know existed. I learned that even though I took the Bible seriously, I hadn't taken it seriously enough. I hadn't recognized my own rather crude interpretive approaches to it. I had so much to learn from it and about it. I learned that the whole world is God's, every bit of it. And every bit of it is a place where his people can participate in his kingdom. In graduate school at Cornell University, I learned that other Christ followers were few and many were afraid to be recognized. I learned that being a good science student wasn't enough. I needed to be theologically and biblically fluent. I needed to be better than the average scientist in being thoughtful about my beliefs, motives, and lifestyle. And above all, I needed to engage my colleagues with an attitude of care for them as people, not merely looking to score intellectual points. When I met with members of my doctoral committee, they sometimes turned from the research and wanted to know, from my perspective as a Christian, how to think about topics and problems that were personally meaningful to them. I hope, like me, you'll discover that the sciences need Christ followers contributing to them, recognizing that the sciences, like other tools for knowing, are gifts from God that can be put into service for his kingdom. I hope, like me, you'll find ways to encourage other Christ followers to do great science and also be resources for thinking scientifically within the body of Christ. I hope, like me, you'll feel joy as you become an increasingly integrated person living into your godly vocation as a scientist.